Hey everyone, TimaeuSS here and welcome to another Sword of Convallaria video, and today we are going to take a look at the in-depth character guide for Simona. That's right, this is our newest character for Sword of Convallaria Global, and let's just take a look at how she fares in-game, what are her skills, what is the best build, her team capabilities, as well as what she brings to the table. Now, taking a look at first things first at the CN Future tier list, you can see that if we scroll all the way down to the tier 1 section, Simona is sitting comfortably right in the middle of the pack, and this tier list is done by someone who places regularly in the top 10 for the endgame tower content. Okay, you can see Simona is there with a unit like Barrow and Cole in the current CN meta. Now, moving into some of the recommendations, I have had a look into the CN builds, the Taiwanese builds, as well as their in-depth breakdown for the video. So I've conjured all of them together to bring you guys the skill upgrades, recommendations for the skill tree alongside the weapon recommendations, and this is updated on my sort of Convallaria community sheet as well. So without further ado, let's just get things started by looking at the trait of Simona, because this actually does make a difference. So as a PvE character, she is one of the most I would not say annoying, because you'll feel very good using her, but annoying for the enemy because of her trait. Now, her trait is a very strong one that offers her attack and defense, even though she's a mage and scales of a magical attack. This attack is of course going to be increasing her magical attack as well, and at the start of the turn she'll gain the armor of ice. Now, this is a really cool skill because it's at the start of the turn, at the start of the round, and this Armor of Ice gives her physical shield equal to 60% of her magical attack, and also immunity to frosty tiles. Now, we'll go over the frosty tile bit in a later section, but this is quite the significant physical shield since it happens every turn. Okay, so in a round, if you get additional turns through the effect of another character like Inanna, she will be able to get another physical shield on top of that. And also, after being hit by a melee attack, you'll inflict a debuff, move 1 debuff on the attack for 2 turns, and this is a 2-turn cooldown. However, things start to go wild after 3-star. Okay, at 3-star, of course, you get a bigger attack and defense, but also if she is dying, so when HP is below 30%, she will be able to get the armor of ice immediately, and that activates once per battle. Okay, which is not bad. It's like an emergency shield. We need it. But at 5-star is when she turns into a complete beast. All right, because she gains a shield and there's no longer any cooldown. You can see from the previous ones, there's going to be a 2-turn cooldown on the 1-star, and then a 3-turn cooldown. Sorry, at the 3-star, the cooldown's released, so we get this every single turn. And at a 5-star effect, you can see that not only do you not have any cooldown on this, you also gain immunity to attribute debuffs. So you can see the list of things you'll be immune to, which is insane. And of course, you keep the dying insta-pop armor of ice effect. So for Simona, things really come to an effect at 3-star, because you'll be able to get it every single turn. There's no cooldown anymore. But at 1-star, she still functions as a battle mage that is able to get close and personal into the enemy lines and deal some really good damage, because every time the enemy attacks you, well, you have the shield, right? You will be able to debuff them, and this debuff really synergizes with her kit. And speaking of kit, let's take a look at her skills. Now, Simona is not an easy character to level up skill wise. You can see that if we take a look at the Sword of Convallaria community sheet, you can see rank 1's left pretty clear, but left or right, and you can see there are a couple of options. And even just looking at the CN and Taiwanese guide recommendations, they also tend to have different reasoning. So I'll try to break it down to the best of my ability and also discuss the loadout at the end, but just keep in mind that there are a couple of variations. Now, the first one is very straightforward at rank 1, the Icy Blast. This has really good utility. It deals a 2x3 tile area, 75% AoE damage. It inflicts speed down and also movement down, level 1 for 2 turns, and knocks the target back by 2 tiles. Okay, this is a 2-tile knockback on an AoE. Lots of utility in story, lots of utility in some fights where the mobs are standing near a ledge that you can push off. Then this is AoE push, so very nice. And you can see that this is what you will be going for rank 1. Now, looking at the rank 3, this is where things start to differ. Because Simona can actually be built as a utility damage or survivability character or a semi-support, and this is the first branch in the choices. Now, most of the people actually go for the Ice Assault if you're going for damage, because it's an instant cast with mobility, because she selects one tile within a cross-ship range and she will be able to attack all of the enemy along the line, dealing ice damage of the physical shield value. And she also gains the Warrior of Frost, which reduces damage taken by 30% and increases your character movement by 1 tile when you're on the Frosty tile. So she will be able to charge, it's an instant cast, you get to move again, and also you will be able to deal damage that scales with your physical shield. So it's a really good effect. However, the other side of things, the rank 3 Ice Mage shield is not a bad one either. So this is an AoE shield, okay? You can see that you'll be able to select a target direction, and all allies in that direction will be able to gain the armor of ice, and also a regeneration 1, which is a buff. It lasts for 2 turns and you recover 10% of the HP at the end of the turn. So there's some healing over time, a hot as well. And if you already have the armor of ice, the energy consumption of this goes from 2 to 1. So this is a fantastic low cost skill, even though it's a 4-turn cooldown. Well, it's not bad at all, but you have to look at the Ice Assault, which has a lot more utility for positioning, and you get an instant cast on that as well, which means you can inherit your remaining ability to continue your action. And the next rank 5 skill is another one that you be able to essentially have a choice between, and they're both reactions. The first one is after your armor of ice is destroyed, the armor of ice of course will explode and deal 50% magical damage to all enemies within 2 tiles, and you apply a movement 3 debuff, okay, which is reducing the enemy movement by 3, so they're basically stuck in the 2-tile radius. It's very hard for them to move too far away from Simona, and this lasts for 1 turn. Now, you could also go with Protection of Ice if you want your Simona to be a tanky character, because this allows enemies with the movement debuff, right? It allows them, or allows Simona rather, to take 30% less damage from these characters with the move debuff, which is great because remember, okay, you'll see that your Ice Assault will apply that, your Icy Blast will apply movement debuff, even your shield, when the enemies attack you, it will trigger that debuff. So a lot of them will have the movement debuff, and then you're basically getting a 30% damage reduction, so that is not a bad one either. Now the next one, Flash Freeze, is the one that is not used quite a bit because she's going to be very tight in terms of skill slots. So rank 7, you can either go for this one or the Union Flag, but there are other better Union Flag aura carriers. But Flash Freeze, single target attack, deals damage and inflicts move and debuff level 3 for 2 turns, and if they already have the movement to debuff, then you apply freeze. But again, this is not frequently used because we can look at the other skills. Okay, the basic attack Ice Mage Sword at rank 9 deals 110% single target magic damage, okay, which is a good multiplier. And also, if you're attacking an enemy with already the move down debuff or who's currently on the Frosty tiles, your damage gets buffed by a 30% boost, so that makes her basic attack really strong. The other one, it basically applied the move 1 debuff instead, which personally, in my opinion, you have so many skills that apply the movement debuff, so you might as well take advantage of it and just do some extra damage. But there are people that choose the ice attack so you can spread the movement. Personally, that is not for me. Now, what will make a huge leap in the power of Simona is going to be her rank 11 skill, and that's her ultimate, the Winter Doomsday. This is so strong. You essentially cast a cross-shaped attack, okay? Sorry, a wall. It's not cross-shaped. The range is cross-shaped. You attack the enemy with a 5x3 area of ice walls, and that is crazy good because it deals 70% ice damage, and if the tile is occupied, so if someone's standing on it, then you apply frozen on the target for 1 turn. So this has loads of capabilities. It's a huge AoE, it's a huge disable for characters already occupying, and then it leaves the ice wall so that if there are enemies that are behind the area that are trying to come into your hit your main forces, they will be baited to hit the ice wall. This is almost like those dummies that you can summon. These ice walls will bait the enemy attacks, and they will take some extra turns attacking those ice walls, allowing you to essentially unleash your damage on these unsuspecting enemies. So this is a very good utility ultimate with a very strong crowd control effect as well. So Simona, you can see already, she's going to be a character that is very difficult to kill, has loads of utility, loads of mobility, while decreasing the enemy's mobility and casting skills like the Winter's Doomsday to keep them in check. So overall, very strong character. It's just unfortunate that she's being released before some of the strongest tier 0 characters we've seen in the entire game, but definitely not a bad character to pick up, especially if you can start farming her stars early, and in PvP she's going to be super strong. Now let's take a look at the loadout. So this is the preferred loadout for the character. You start with your Ice Maid Sword, we talked about, with your basic attack to get that bonus damage, especially against those with movement debuff or on the frosty tile. You can go with the protection of ice to ensure survivability by being 30% tankier, or you can go with the ice shards for explosion and apply more debuffs and more damage. In terms of the 3 skills, it's almost locked. You do the ice assault 100% because it's an instant cast. You have additional mobility and you gain warrior frost, which means less damage taken, so you become even more tanky, and overall just a fantastic skill. Otherwise, you can pick up icy blast, but icy blast does have its uses, in the sense that if there are not a lot of enemies you can push away, then you can swap the ice made armor to get more survivability for your entire team. Instead of shoving people, you can apply the armor that gives heals as well. Now the Winter Doomsday is pretty much your last slot that is always going to be locked in, as the ultimate is just way too strong of a skill to not use. So that is going to be your skill loadout. In terms of the weapon, there are quite a few choices. Personally, the Starry Sky Heritage is always a really amazing one, your go-to for most of your characters, your mage characters, because it increases HP and grants magic attack equal to the HP, which for a character that is going to benefit from having the tanky stats, this is definitely not bad to have. Other choices, you can go with the broom. I believe the diffusing prism is also not bad if you're looking for AoE damage, but personally I would just go for the Starry Sky Heritage, because as you enhance this as well, you can see that later on you get 10% HP, okay, and the magic attack is converted. You gain equal to 6% of your HP at the start of battle, so it's always a good one. Now in terms of trinkets, there are 2 choices that I personally very much like, or 3 rather, because I guess we'll get the easiest one out of the way. The spring pill is always super nice on any characters, okay, that's always a good one to have. But personally, there's been quite a few niche uses of the old scrolls of Augusta, okay, and this is so nice because as the fastest character in the game right now, 271, okay, she is gonna move first in the round, which means you can cast this as guaranteed as the first character in the round, and granting the ally a level 2 buff, and most importantly speed 1, so increase the ally speed by 50, which means after Simona, that ally is gonna go next most likely, which is a very nice speed tuning trinket, especially on a character that is guaranteed to go first. In terms of my second favorite choice is using the Great Shield, because you gain a physical shield equal to 40% of the HP, and of course this shield also counts as shield value versus some of how her skills will be able to trigger. You'll see that in some of the passives and whatnot. When she has the shield, she'll be able to benefit from that effect, so it can be even extra tanky with that. But personally, if you don't have the shield, because it's not an instant cast, you'll have to consume a turn, you can use the spring pill. Otherwise, you're most likely using your ice assault for the instant, and then cast that Great Shield. But you know what, that's a bit too late, because you're not going to get the physical shield, the damage bonus for the ice assault if you're doing it that way. So yeah, I think this old scrolls is going to be best in slot. Now, in terms of the Dream of the Magician as the Tarot Whisper slot, I think it's pretty good. And make sure you're going for magic attack, not physical attack on the slot, because you can see that with the secret level, right, increase damage by 16%, and also when casting skills, for each additional enemy hit, you can go upwards of 24%, which is a pretty massive boost, especially if you are going to be doing a lot of AoE with your build. But if you're going for a more tanky build, of course, there are other ways. There is the reduced damage taken one, this one as well, but it really ultimately just depends on how you want to position your Simona. Wow, it's been quite a long video, so I'm just gonna talk about how she fares in terms of PvP, because this is where she is absolutely gonna shine, and I'll be super brief because her rating on PvP is absolutely top tier, just due to the fact that she's able to put enemies through a chokehold and then push them off as they're trying to funnel through with their skills. So she has that synergy herself, and also be a frontline tank, and the enemy AI is going to come and attack her, but she is so tanky and has so many disables against the enemy characters. They will turn the melee characters into stationary units, because they can't really move, and let your range characters in the back do crazy amounts of work. So for PvP, she's absolutely gonna be a great character to have. So yes, let me know thoughts. I'm gonna pull for Simona. This is a very straightforward guide, and I tried to do a bit more in-depth breakdown compared to my Ida one. So next up, I think we'll wait for the official announcement of potentially Coco's banner. But until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and it's TimaeuSS here, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye now.